3AW Footy Highlights.
Pendlebury, long to full forward. Membry! The juggling mark. Short approach. Drop punt is straight through the middle. Opening goal on the BP scoreboard. Kick batted down by Callaghan. Handball over the top to Riccardi. Handball into Gothard. Is he going to give the little dribbler a go? He sure is, and that is a very, very clever goal from Phoenix Gothard.
Pendlebury will take it. Thought about the handball, comes in for beautiful kick to set up Josh Dacos. He kicks it deep inside the 50. Elliott should get this out the back. He knocks it to the advantage of Membry, who snapped and goal. Great team play by the Magpies.
Handball on the bounce to Crisp. Gets around Delana. Handball back to Josh Dacos, and he waits the pass to Ned Long. Short approach. Stabs at the drop punt. Goal umpire doesn't move. James Leake with the resultant free kick. He kicks to a contest. 3-on-1 favour the Magpies. Briggs somehow sport Quaynor. The Giants will win it though. Stringer, open goal.
My goodness.
Well, he kicked it, but that was a lovely goal, but I think everyone's still stunned as to how poor the football's been for the last 10 minutes. Lloyd, he's looking, not even looking at the game. What were you doing there, Lloyd?
Just looking at Hutto. Hutto and Gary Lyon.
Yep.
Little man, Hutto, isn't he?
Well, there's the highlight of the night, folks. That will get back, and if that's not played next Thursday night, I don't know what will.
Schultz, handball, Nick Dacos. Lipinski, handball to Nick Dacos now. He's going to fire away a goal. What about that for the little champ, Nick Dacos?
Lockie Schultz shooting for his second. He unloads. I don't think it'll make the distance. Oh, big mark by the debutant. Called by Jimbo as well. This will be met with a mighty roar. 10 out, directly in front, and absolutely mobbed.
A bouncing footy. Back there is Iden. His handball coughed up. Nick Dacos! Nick Dacos! He enters the fray. And whenever he's around, it's danger, danger, danger for GWS.
Nick Dacos is going to lower the eyes, and he does find a teammate. And it was McStay who marks on his chest directly in front. Works a little bit left to right from 45. He's got his second of the night.
Here's Ash to bring the ball back into play. He's kicked in the man on the mark. It ricochets to Schultz. Schultz goes to short pass to Jamie Elliott. Close range. Puts the goal through. First of the night for Jamie Elliott.
Stringer gets on the end of it. Takes the mark, 70 from home. It's a pretty open forward line. He needs to move it quickly. He does. And that is a very good mark by Harvey Thomas. Pokes at a drop punt and kicks it straight through the middle. The crowd goes mild, Jimmy.
Spills out the side bottom. Handball to Perryman. Perryman just eases with the kick. Membry popped the pass in here. Membry to Houston. Houston, we know we're going to hoof a footy. That is a beautiful kick. So pure. What a hit.
McStay centering ball. The mark's going to be taken by Membry. Collingwood probably not in the same conversation as the Dogs at the moment, but they now lead at the Woods by 40.
Whitfield into the forward pocket for Stringer. Yes, got it. Opens up the angle with a snap, and through it goes. Frampton
will take the free kick in the last line. He won't take the free kick because the siren goes, and the Magpies improve to 2-1. They win by 33 points, 39 to 7-12.
Hey! Good old Collingwood forever. We know how to play the game. Side by side we stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades shouting as old barricades should. Oh, the membership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
3AW is football.
Goal kickers for the winners, and we will have to check the record books. Is it a career high in black and white? Tim Membry finishes with 4 straight for the Magpies. Couple of goals to Daniel McStay and the superstar Nick Dacos. Singles to Elliott, Schultz, Houston, Steen on debut, and Ned Long. While for the Giants, Jake Stringer, their only multiple goal kicker, kicked 2-2, his final goal or his second goal in the dying moments, his 400th career major. And singles to Thomas, Toby Green, Gothard, Riccardi and Grzewski. Some initial thoughts from Jimmy Bartell and Matthew Lloyd after Collingwood win Friday night football of round 3 by 33 points.
Yeah, got a nice little margin in the end there, the Pies, and it was quality and class that steered them through the second half in particular. It wasn't a spectacular game, but it was just the organisation from the Pies. It was structure and knowing exactly what they need to do on the ground, which won it. Will help set them up in the first half. They forced the Giants, who started the game pretty well, had the tsunami going, but they took the pace out of the game on the Giants, force them to kick long down the line. And Jesse Hogan is short on confidence, and you throw into that, they're pretty young around him. I know Stringer's there, but when they start the game with Delina, Hannaford, and of course Gothard across the half-forward line, the experience of the Pies took advantage. And for the Giants, I think they should go into the bye and actually explore who else can come through the midfield. And I know it was the last 3 or 4 minutes, but Gothard is a little bit shifty, and he showed that there's a point of difference. Not asking to play whole game there, but they need something different with the centre bounce, because Oliver's going to be bullocking inside, and then it's on Finn Callaghan. Then who's the third? So I don't think it's always going back to O'Halloran, because he's more just a worker. He's a boot banger. You actually need a bit of creativity. So, yeah, if you want to go Toby, but bring Gothard up around there. Even throw Leak, who's a little bit different. He's a bit bigger. Just find something different through the midfield, because sides are going to overwhelm them. But it was Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos, side bottom as well. It was the class of Collingwood at key moments.
The Giants, 58 entries, and they scored 7 goals. So that'll be a big talking point, I think, for Adam Kingsley after the game. Can't wait to hear how he answers their lack of potency, the lack of thought, their poor disposal, the lack of connection. So that's their big issue right now, that they had enough ball going in there. They should have been in front maybe at half-time, but they were so wasteful. And then Collingwood, on the flip side of that, just were far better, Beaver, with their disposal.
You gave the number for the Giants, Lloydie. For Lamaro's Hotel, did they actually win the inside 50s?
Yeah, +8. Yes, yeah, 58 to 50, Beaver. So 7 goals out of 58 entries, 7 goals, 12. If they did take a mark, they took it really wide. They just bombed it on heads, and I just thought that the defence for Collingwood was amazing. I thought they were brilliant, but they were helped by such mind-numbingly poor decisions. Like, where was the change? We were expecting it to come at quarter time. Nothing changed all night long. Why not put Toby Green out of the square? Like, try something different. It was just the same.
And a lot of, they generate a lot of their ball by the handball off the half-back line. Whitfield's had 19 handballs. Oliver, 26. Callaghan, 21. Even Ash, who's not a big handballer, he's had 10 by his standards. Toby Green, 13. Gothard, who can make decisions, 14. But the inside 50. So I know Nick was out of this world. He had 12 inside forward 50s. But look at all those handballs for the Giants. Ball movers. 5, 4, 0, and 7.
So, without wanting to focus too much on the Giants at the moment, we've got plenty of time to discuss the Magpies. 10:15 on the White Glove Mover clock, 7:15 in Perth, and the lines are open, 133 693 for Nick Theodosi Prestige Cars. Is the Giants' forward line too big? If you look at Hogan, Riccardi, Grzewski and Stringer, you were screaming out for Toby Green to be stationed deep forward for more of the night, which would have given them more of a medium option. But have they just got the bigs wrong forward of the footy?
Well, this is where Brent Daniels and Darcy Jones hurts. Daniels is a dynamic player. He's that high half forward and a great ball user going inside forward 50. And Jones is the other one. He's the speed who can link him up really well. And he actually is a guy who's got speed. But his first thought for him is move the game forward. So he's a line breaker, which then gets it into those guys. And those two in particular get their forwards moving, because they come at your forwards really quickly. At the moment, it's a little bit of handball backwards, sideways, and the forwards don't lead. They find that little sideways kick, and the forwards just stick their hand up in the air, and that's when you get too big. The opposition just rolls over and ping, out it goes.
And Beaver, on that list you've got there, Aaron Cadman's the other forward it says test. So he would be handy to take that mark down the line or sit on a head, which both Hogan and Stringer don't do. So he's got some tough decisions to make, Adam Kingsley, but they were really poor. But let's talk about the winners, Collingwood. Really, really good. They kicked 87 points, which they'd be wrapped with, because they'd been kicking low scores in the 70s, so they get a good number. Thought they finished really strong. I thought they overpowered the Giants with their running and spread. Giants, they need to mix it up, as you touched on, through the midfield. 2-1 paced. And I thought the run of even some of the older guys, like side bottoms, run late, Nick Dacos, Josh Dacos, Jack Crisp was very, very good with his run. DeGoey had some good moments. Great reward, Tim Membry, to get 4 goals out of Membry. That's a brilliant return. They're just too good, Collingwood, too good from the coach's box, and had the match winners at the Giants did. I didn't like any Giants player tonight. I didn't like any of them. I didn't think any of them had much of an effect on the game, despite some of the big numbers. That Whitfield 39, Oliver 37, Callaghan 36. Callaghan was okay, but still didn't do the damage of the Magpie best players.
So the Magpies, as we said, they improved to 2-1. Are we certain about them yet? We're going to know more about them after the next fortnight. The Lions at the Gabba next Thursday night, the traditional clash to kick off the Easter round, and then the following Friday night of Gather Round, they play the Fremantle Dockers at the neutral venue of the Adelaide Oval. So how Collingwood go in their next 8 quarters of footy? They're currently 2-1. Their percentage now will be well and truly back into triple figures. They started the night with a percentage of 98.7, but we are going to know more about them after the next fortnight. But let's get down to their rooms, which are the winning rooms tonight. Thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals celebrating lives, and Jackie Reid is sandwiched somewhere in amongst the black and white throng.
I certainly am. It's quite packed in here. 2 broadcasters in here with massive desks, and then we've got heaps of family and friends and fans, and the players are all jumping into the circle now, just waiting on Jack Crisp to be the last one, and Oscar Steen getting absolutely drenched by the Gatorade here down here at ground level. We'll expect the traditional hush before they start the song here, so I think it'll start now.
Let's go.
Hey! Good old Collingwood forever. We know how to play the game. Side by side we stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades shouting as old barricades should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
Well, there you have it, guys. I think we're going to have a chat with Jordan DeGoey, so I'll just catch up with him and get back to you.
Okay, looking forward to that. Thank you, Jackie. What about that question, Lloydie and Jimmy? Are we convinced by them that the question that Bruce just posed? Do you want to see a bit more before you're really confident in what the Magpies can do from here on in?
Oh, it's going to be difficult to get beats on most clubs because of the staggered start we've had throughout the year, and it won't be until the middle of the year. And has Jack got Jordan DeGoey with her?
She has. Down to you, Jack.
I certainly do. Thanks so much for your time, Geordie. Massive win. That was a hard one, hard fought, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't think we had to break the whole game, to be honest. It was so offensive. But, we put a good score on the board. I thought our defence was really good from the start and, managed to get the job done in the end.
I wanted to ask about Oscar Steen. He could become a cult figure pretty quickly.
I think he already has, to be honest. He had a lap of honour at the end there by himself, so it's already begun. But, Steenie was he's been unbelievable. Like, the way he's grinded it out, got to the position he is today, and you saw what he's capable of. He was unreal today.
Jordan, Jimmy Bartel here. Well done on the win. It was a tough watch for us in the first half, but you guys had the game on your terms. You were able to really take the speed out of the Giants early.
Yeah, well, we knew they're really good ball in hand. So for us, it was just try and slow the game down at times. It might not have felt like that, but, they got so many offensive weapons. Obviously, the start was trying to stop them and, beat them on the back of that.
Jordan, what do you make of that second quarter? Were you feeling it as much as we were up here, where both sides just couldn't hit a target there for about 15 minutes?
Yeah, I wasn't having a great time, put it that way. But, it probably wasn't ideal footy to watch. But that happens when there's 2 offensive teams having a crack.
And is that their greatest weapon, how your defence continually stands up? I thought you did a great job against St Kilda, where you were minus 23 entries, and then tonight I thought Frampton's job on Hogan and Maynard and all the guys just intercepting, they kept you in it for a fair period.
Yeah, for sure. I think the backline's been the staple of this team for a really long time, and they keep standing up. So hopefully we don't have to rely on them as much going forward, but tonight was another unreal job by that back six.
Jordan, we chatted to Pendles before the game, and we keep noting the staggered approach to the season. There's teams with 18-day breaks, 6-day breaks and all sorts of stuff. When do you feel like you have a good bead on the league? Like who's the best sides? Is it not going to be until about round 10 or 11?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty tough to say at this stage. Like you said, plenty of buys, a lot going on here and there. But, every team can catch you off guard on their day. So for us, we need to stay on top of ours, focus on what we can control and try and get the win each and every week.
How's fatherhood treating you?
It's good. We got her into a good sleep cycle at the moment,
nice.
so I'm pretty stoked with that.
Well played.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
not going home to give bottles or anything tonight?
Nah, I wouldn't have thought so. Hopefully the missus takes control there, but you never know what sort of mood she's going to be in, so we'll see what happens.
No, it was brilliant. Absolutely wrapped for you guys, and obviously short turnaround, and you've got a big game against Brisbane next week.
Yeah, for sure. Short turnaround. We'll go back, get recovered, and come out swinging.
Geordie, thanks for joining us tonight. Enjoy the weekend and look forward to seeing you at the Gabba in 6 nights' time.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jordan De Goey, Collingwood superstar, joining us down in the winning rooms. Thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives. They're just always big games that Collingwood are involved in. As we said, the Lions next Thursday night at the Gabba, the Dockers, the Friday night game of Gather Round at the Adelaide Oval, another 50,000, and then the not-so-minor matter the following Thursday night of Carlton at the MCG with probably 85,000 people in attendance.
One of the great reasons you want to play for a club like Collingwood, and that's what we had a big chat pre-game about Nick Dacos, and Sam McClure was talking around, a bit of talk and around, in 3 or 4 years' time what he may want to do and what Collingwood may want to do, but hard to leave a club that gets to play in the big games week after week.
And then after that Carlton game, it's Anzac Day. And then after Anzac Day, it's a Thursday night game against Hawthorn at the MCG. So what do they call it? Blockbuster fatigue?
Yeah.
I don't think the Woods ever get that, though.
Well, let's have a listen to Scott Pendlebury because he finished the game injured. We think it's an Achilles injury. He's just had a chat to Fox Footy. This is what the former captain, the veteran, had to say.
Not a concern. Look, we just made a smart call. I hurt my ankle against Adelaide and, sort of got tight again around that area. And we come back out and we're up by 25 points. So we just said, we don't need to push it here. We've got a 6-day break. So, get myself right for that.
Was there a moment in which it tightened, or was it just kind of a general...
just after half-time, it's just got sore again in a similar spot. So, it is what it is. And, it's nothing to worry about.
6-day break against the Lions. Do you see that in the scope, or do you think you'll probably just be looking after it at this stage?
I haven't even spoke to them about that.
So ankle, not Achilles. So let's see whether or not he plays on Thursday night against Brisbane. But Scott Pendlebury, not too much of a concern there.
Because, of course, you have to also put into the equation assistant coaching duties with Lloydie as well.
Yeah, you've got a big job.
In the bigger mix, bigger scheme of things.
Big job.
I think he'll put our game first Wednesday night, and he won't play Thursday night. That's my prediction.
Wow.
We are taking your calls for Nick Theodosi, 133 693 if you want to give us a buzz. I want to have a chat to you too, Lloydie, after the break about Jesse Hogan as well. He's a big watch, but we are happy to take some calls after the break. 133 693 is the phone number. We'll get down to the Giants' rooms as well, but it was Collingwood by 33 points, 13-9-87 the Giants, 7-12-54 for Maccas. 3AW is Friday Night Football.
You're talking football on a Friday night. Dial 133 693 to be a part of the conversation.
29 minutes after 10 on the White Glove Mover clock. 29 minutes after 7 over on the West Coast. For those listening on 6PR, 3AW Footy, all thanks to Maccas. Collingwood by 33 points tonight. What's next on the menu? We're not quite going to get to the votes, are we?
I just want to ask Lloydie about Jesse Hogan, who, Lloydie, he's been playing great footy at GWS. He's, new footy life, but tonight and for the last couple of weeks, he just has been really down on confidence.
I don't want to say, is he carrying something? Because once you cross the white line, there's never any excuse really, because you're out there and you've got to perform. And he didn't lead hard up at it, so I can't really picture him ever getting on a hard lead and being spoilt that way. He just called for it long. And the Collingwood players have extras that come over and spoil you. And then one was really poor late in the game where he was up against Jeremy Howe, and he just was easily beaten. I've been critical of Charlie Curnow about that in his first 3 games at Sydney, that it might not be your night as a forward, but you must bring the smalls into it and get it to ground. There's nothing that Sheedy was hard on me on that, and I'm the same with any player in my side. If you're not going to mark it yourself, you can't let the opposition mark it. And I thought he just called for it too long all the time against players who wanted him to do that. He didn't come up hard on the lead. And that's when he's at his best, Hogan, when he hits up and he takes strong marks out in front. So, they've got, if Cadman comes back in, I just think I'm not sure Stringer and Hogan are a great mix right now because they're both not really presenting like they need to be. Riccardi's been disappointing down there as well.
His goal kicking's a bit off too.
Yeah, and that's right. So his confidence is right down altogether. The stutter, it's never been a problem for him because he's been able to still kick goals, but you see he's down on confidence right now.
He's now got 5 goals, 3 from 4 matches in 2026. As you said, Jake Riccardi, just a 1 goal, 1 tonight. He's got 5 goals, 2 from 4 matches. Stringer, their only multiple goal kicker this evening, but 1 goal, 2 of his 2 goals, 2 were kicked in the final quarter when it was all over, bar the shouting. And young Grzewski is really still a work in progress.
Yeah, he is a young pup. Jesse would be carrying something because some players find it hard to go through games injured because it constantly plays on their mind or whether they want to stretch out. And there's others who can just put it into the back of their mind and forget about it. And then all of a sudden, once the final siren goes, they go, I was pretty sore there. So they need him as a leader, and they've got to work out their forward structure as well because Callum Brown's another one on the forward line who just drifts too much in and out. And the younger guys who we kept highlighting, they actually need those senior guys to go up another level to help them.
Yeah, Brown has gone backwards. He remember that game at Geelong, and he thought, he looks good. He's starting to kick a few multiple goals, but he's just not being sighted. And then they're too young, like Hannaford, and you've got the other Gothard. They're
Bellina.
Too many. They're 3 babies like that. You'd love to take one into your side, not the 3 of them.
And the Magpies, well, apart from Bobby Hill, they're basically at full strength tonight. Now, Darcy Moore, we wait with interest as to see what the issue was tonight. On the flip side, from his comeback game, Jeremy Howe looked like the break had done him good. Obviously, overcoming a soft tissue injury as well, but he had that spring back and athleticism, covering the ground brilliantly. You can never escape from the fact that they are playing so many players. We're not being ageist, and we know the way that Collingwood fans and the footy department bristles when you talk about their age, but they had 10 players tonight of 30 years and above. But, you look at the form of Howder, side bottom tonight as well, who's, 35, playing game 357. So they just still seem to manage to get the mix and the balance right.
Yeah, we'll see next week as well for that age that we talk about in the back. It was made easy for the backs tonight with how they have won some huge one-on-ones, but the Giants made it easy for them for how poor they kicked the ball inside forward 50. But next week there'll be, Rayner, it'll be Bailey, it'll be Charlie Cameron, it'll be Logan Morris. So they'll certainly be tested on Thursday night.
One of the highlights of post-match footy on 3AW is the Deep Heat injury report. Not that we celebrate players getting injured, but of course the credit line to go with our good friends at Deep Heat. And Jackie Reid is back from the rooms. She's currently giggling away off mic because she knows what's coming. In fact, we all know what's coming. For Deep Heat, fast targeted pain relief from an iconic brand you know and trust.
I'm going to HR. I'm going to HR for workplace bullying.
We've got one.
I'm going workplace
Just clip
bullying.
that bit up. I'm going to HR. Deep. That's it.
Because Lloydie was talking over the top of that, we might have to hear that again. And we'll work out, was it his new one or last year's one? Let's just listen to that again.
Deep Heat.
That's a new boy.
Yeah, that's the new one.
That's the freshie.
The clubhouse leader, that one.
Pretty good, that one, I reckon.
Yeah, thanks, Matty.
Yeah. Jackie, over to you.
You're flat with that, aren't you, Beep?
Yeah. No, I think you've got a bit to work on. we've still got,
I run in the twos.
What have we got? 27 weeks of the season to go.
I'm sticking with that.
Okay. Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Well, the main one for Collingwood was, of course, Scott Pendlebury saw through that Achilles. He said the official word is it's tightness. He did have a little bit of a limp on him, but there was no point risking him in the rest of that game, so he didn't play it out. Darcy Moore, that's the interesting one for me. I've been told it's not that straightforward, so there is no update right now, but we will await Craig McRae's press conference for further clarification on what that injury is, so we'll find out hopefully very, very shortly. The interesting one as well for the Giants, Ryan Angwin late. Hurt his ear. It's a suspected burst eardrum for Ryan Angwin.
Ouch. Now, they don't play for 16 days, but that's a boxing type injury, Jimmy.
It is.
Are you listening, Jimmy?
Watching the replay.
Is.
Sometimes it's hard to get good help, as you know right now, Beaver. But Darcy Moore trying to kick and test his leg, the physio of the doc, he couldn't catch a cold. He had the simple hands on. The ball was ricocheting off his head.
What was the words, Jackie? It's
complicated.
Not that straightforward.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a bit odd.
Do you
isn't
think
it?
it's groin, Jack?
Hey?
Do you think it's his groin or not?
Well, I mean, on further when you look at the vision again, it wasn't like I did feel like he was favouring that right leg, but then the way he sort of tried to balance on both sides, it could be adductor or groin, but it is strange though in that scenario as well to keep playing. So maybe he did have some sort of help with an injection, which probably would explain why he was having trouble kicking as well. So I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Mick McGuan feels from all those
swing
years
his
ago.
leg.
Well, we'll hopefully find out in this press conference in the next couple of 10 minutes.
The new buzzword, awareness.
Now, Matty, it
you love
says
that,
on the
awareness.
credit sheet, deep heat injury report, that we've got to give the credit. We've got to give the credit twice a game. So, did you want to read out the extended credit?
Yes, well, deep heat injury report for deep heat.
Bruce.
Fast targeted pain relief from an iconic brand you know and trust.
Deep heat.
Now
Little man huddle, isn't he?
Feel it work.
Love it when Jimmy starts banging the desk and continue laughing. Now, there is another, well, we don't know if it's an injury, but there is another late change as well. There is a late change to 3AW football tomorrow, and this has come about due to being Cats Radio last night, where there was just a domination of the hooped affair down at the GMHBA Stadium with Joel Selwood, Jimmy Bartell and Anthony Hudson. So tomorrow our match for broadcast is St Kilda and Brisbane. And Lee Matthews was, of course, one of the captains of the commentary team. Well, Lee is out.
Injured.
Lee is a late... Oh, we don't know if he's injured, but he is a late out. Now, remembering Brisbane are playing St Kilda tomorrow, I've had no influence on this at all. But one of the leading figures in AFLW, one of the most inspiring leaders in the AFLW competition, the St Kilda captain, Hannah Priest, is going to be made. Oh, don't react like that.
You drafted her in, did you?
I said it had nothing to do with me, but I'll be fully supportive of this. Will be joining us tomorrow from midday to make her 3AW debut. Hannah Priest joins 3AW football tomorrow. Out Matthews, in Priest. That is big news.
Very big news. How are they going to go tomorrow, do you think, Beef?
I should win by 7 or 8 goals. Now we're being silly. It's going to be a tough game. Looking forward to calling it not.
Yeah, it should be good. Lloydie reckons I'll be back tomorrow.
I think so.
You said they'd belt us.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you got
to
add some bit of mayo to him, I think he is.
I tipped the Saints.
Good on you, Jim.
Thanks.
No, the Saints, I think, on paper, Saints give everything and they're hard to beat St Kilda, but I just think the talent for talent, once they click, Brisbane should be
They're
too
4
strong.
goals better side here.
Mind you, in recent years, Brisbane have munched St Kilda here. St Kilda's played better against Brisbane at the Gabba.
Thanks for telling me now.
St Kilda's played better against Brisbane at the Gabba than they have at Marvel in the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, Jimmy?
Yep.
Who? Bombers, North?
I'm going to go North Melbourne. I was disappointed North couldn't keep going through with it after their first quarter start and against the West Coast Eagles. But if they'll just zone in, won't they, on Zach Merritt and ask somebody else to beat them? I think the forward options for North Melbourne might be a little bit too much for the Bombers.
Yeah. I just like North's O'Sullivan. You've got Kircher, Wardlaw's back, O'Sullivan. I just think they're slightly better.
So flip it, and we'll straighten up a bit. Now, what's a pass mark for the Bombers tonight? Obviously a win.
That's it.
But so what? A competitive loss by a couple of goals?
No, just have to win.
Wow.
And I worry Tristan Sherry, like, he eats small forwards for breakfast. Like, he might get a hold of...
Small rucks?
Yeah, he might get a hold of Blackiston and anybody else who's under 6'5". He might just monster them. You see him at training? He monstered Charlie Comben because he was annoyed.
Got a bit tasty, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Lines are open, 133 693. Any of those observations since the final siren here about half an hour ago? Collingwood 13-9-87, the Giants 7-12-54. Give us a call on the Nick Theodosi open line.
What's on Footy Nightline tonight?
Well, we're going to hear the two coaches, and we're going to hear Heath Shaw as my special guest.
Nice.
Who played for both the two teams that we saw out here tonight. Collingwood, premiership player at the Magpies, and they had a really good career at GWS as well. Yep. So looking forward to having a chat to Heath Shaw later on Footy Nightline.
Did he play over 150 for both? I'm not sure if he got to 150 for the Pies. He played well over 300 in the end.
Well over 300.
Terrific career.
Good question, Bruce.
133 693. Nick Theodosi Prestige Cars. 55 years in the business. Everybody should own a Prestige car at least once in a lifetime. Give us a buzz between now and 11 o'clock or between 11 and midnight.
He did.
With Matty Granland's. He did?
173 for the Pies, 152 for the GWS Football Giants.
That is a very unique club. I think Bernie Quinlan might have been the first to achieve that, but it is only a handful of players that have played over 150 for 2 clubs. Who's giving the votes tonight?
I'm the Friday night specialist.
He's the Friday night specialist.
Deep Heat.
Want now, Beef? Yeah. So I would have loved to. I would have loved to have given Billy Frampton a vote, but he just misses. So 1 vote I've given to Braden Maynard for his game. Hardly lost the contest back there. 18 disposals for Maynard tonight. 2 votes I've given to Tim Membry, so it wasn't the highest scoring game. But Giants have only kicked 7, but he's kicked 4 himself and kicked them nice and early, which was a positive for him. 3 votes I've given to Beavers man, Steel side bottom. 31 disposals, doesn't waste too many of them. Still side bottom, he's just a class act and continue to run all day. 4 votes I've given to Josh Dacos. I thought he was nearly best at halftime, where he was the cleanest on the ground. 33 disposals, 662 metres gained for Josh Dacos. And Nick, apart from turning it, he did turn it over a few times, Nick, but aside from that, it was almost a complete game. 36 disposals, 12 inside 50s, 6 clearances, and 2 goals too, 770 metres gained.
So we think he's got a minimum of 6 Brownlow medal votes. Best of field in the 2 wins so far for the Woods against the Saints and now the Giants. Well, you've got votes against the Crows at the MCG a fortnight ago as we wind our memories back.
Depends if they give him to Wayne Malera, who was dominant off the half-back line.
Wasn't he, that night? Yeah. Anyway, we'll think out loud. Now, let's go around the grounds for KO. Watch every AFL game of every round live and on demand in 4K with no ad breaks during play on KO Sports. Get on board today. And the Socceroos in their friendly against Cameroon in Sydney have won 1-0 with, we believe, a distant cousin of Mark Boss, the former Geelong champion, Jordan Boss, scoring the winner in the 87th minute. Oscar Piastri has finished fastest in free practice number 2 at the Japanese Grand Prix. I think after this weekend there's no Grand Prix
for
about 5 weeks. Yep. And that stump score after day 2 of so far the rain-affected Shield final between Victoria and South Australia. Good commentary team down there at the Junction. South Australia all out for 198. Victoria in reply 4 for 110 with Marcus Harris and Ollie Peake at the crease. And the final scores from the VFL tonight. Collingwood went down to the Giants by 16 points, 14-11 to 11-13. Geelong thrashed Box Hill by 47 points, 19-9, 123 to Box Hill 11-10, 76. And in the close one, Frankston 10-13, 73. Unfortunately beat St Kilda 9-11, 65. The Dolphins by 8 points. We will take a break at 17 minutes to 11.
And sorry, just looked up his numbers v the Crows. He had 33 and 2 goals too. So he'd be a big chance to get the 3 even though they've lost that game of football.
Or even if it's a 2, 8 votes
exactly right.
3 game.
Has to. Yep.
Off to a flyer, Nick Dacos in 2026. 16 minutes to 11 on the White Glove Mover clock here in Melbourne. 16 minutes to 8 over in the Wild West on 6PR. A quick break and back with more. And your calls, 133 693 for Macca's. 10 delicious new drinks just landed at McCafe. This is 3RW Friday Night Football.
McCreary, handball to Quaynor. Quaynor inside the 50, over the head of McStay. A bouncing footy. Back there is Iden. He's handball caught up. Nick Dacos! Nick Dacos! He enters the fray, takes it and kicks a goal. And whenever he's around, it's danger, danger, danger for GWS.
Yeah, brilliant call by Matty Granlund, the Star 21 goal of the night. 20 years of keeping you connected. Jimmy's just off mic at the moment, so we'll all go 21, 21, 21. 2 goals to Nick Dacos in that third term, and one of them voted the Star 21 goal of the night. 21. Thank you. He kicked 2 of the Magpies' 3 goals in that third term when they did start to stretch the rubber band. They went from 9 points up at half-time to 19 at the final change and strode away to win by 33 points, 13-9-87 to the disappointing Giants, 7-12-54, a crowd of 41,607 in attendance. 133 693 is the number to ring if you want to have a chat to Jimmy or Lloydie. 133 693, the Nick Theodosi open line. Before we come back to Jimmy and Lloydie, though. Adam Kingsley has just started his press conference in the bowels of Marvel Stadium. This is not stealing Matty Granland's thunder for Footy Nightline after the 11 o'clock bulletin. Is that a nervous twitch that Matty's just all of a sudden got? But let's just let's take the first minute or so of Adam Kingsley's press conference after his Giants have slumped to 1-3 after dismantling Hawthorn in the opening round. They've been belted by the Bulldogs, beaten at home by the Saints, and tonight, in the end, handled comfortably by Collingwood by 33 points. Here's Adam Kingsley.
Adam, can you just talk us through, I guess, where you feel like you lost the game?
Kind of the same as last week. Didn't maximise our entries, our opportunities. 58-50. Inside 50s, first half we had dominance, whatever it was, 33-24. Couldn't post a winning score. From our entries, a lot of repeat entries, so we need to continue to work on our method in that space. And then second half centre bounce. They were the two areas that I thought were quite costly.
Just in terms of those forward 50-metre entries, is it part of what Collingwood do as well to put you in different sort of areas to make it harder, or was it just a connection?
No, it's connection, I think. I mean, I thought Collingwood defended well in the moments that they needed to, but I think our connection is nowhere near where it needs to be at the moment, and that can happen. It happens in parts of the season. We manage to work on it and fix it. We've done it in the past and we'll do it again. But it's a combination of initial entry, re-entry. Don't know how many front half turnovers we created tonight, but it felt like we had a lot of re-entries, particularly in the first half, where we just bomb entry and rely on Jesse Hogan taking a contested mark almost, and it's not happening at the moment. So we've got to be a little better.
There's Adam Kingsley, just the start of his press conference. More of that will be played by Matty Granland, Footy Nightline, after the 11 o'clock news. Do you think it's there's connection's one thing, and that's obviously lowering your eyes and trying to pick out a teammate to advantage or in a bit of space. But as you said, Lloydie, and you said time and time again, it was Jack the Blind Miner could have seen that they just kept bombing it in on top of their forwards' heads with little movement anyway inside forward 50.
Yeah, it's even like you have it on the wing, and Leake was one young player who would just bomb it straight down the line. Like, they didn't shift the ball, just change the angles and see if they could just. There was one they got maybe in the first quarter, whereas I think it was Canelio that marked it on 50. Just even it was a bit of a chaos ball. Even tried something completely different, just to try and shift it across the other side of the ground and get a bit of a change in look. But they just kept sitting it on players' heads, and there was no change there. So that's on Adam Kingsley. And Jimmy just showed me a stat there from centre bounce, Jim. That was damning as well.
Yeah, 4 goals, 3 from centre bounce to 0. And, the young fella Steen, but then Darcy Cameron. It was a two-punch combo there on Kieran Briggs, who's been disappointing, really, to start the year in centre bounce particular.
When the Giants are up and about, the fancy phrase in footy lingo is the orange tsunami. But there's no doubt when the Giants are playing their best footy, it's on the overlap, it's run from the back half, and it is a wave of players and lots of handball. But they don't just bomb from centre wing. They continue to have someone that they can give to on the outside or the inside who's running past at speed. So that style of play is just completely dissipated.
No, I think they've got the handball game going, Beaver, but they've got to find ways to keep tempo and speed on the game by foot. And that's where they fell down tonight and where the Saints took it away from them as well. I know there were some heavy conditions, but sides have this, and we saw it with the Hawks last year, is if you cut out the release and you take the speed out of the game, you're forced to kick them long down the line. The Giants are facing this now, so they've got to find ways, whether it is by overlap handball, Beaver, or you've got to create an environment where you can't have players fearful of making a mistake. And the Giants are in a bit of that space at the moment, from older players to younger players as well, which means I'm going to just whack it long down the line because it's safe. You don't cop feedback for kicking it long down the line. So
why would they be in that mindset?
Well, because I reckon there's some players who might have turned it over, or they've been scored against off turnover, and then you go away from it. So it actually sounds like a different thing. But Adam Kingsley almost needs them to say, go out and make as many mistakes as possible. Like, encourage you to go do the game, and then we can decide whether it's a skill execution thing or a decision making. So the decision at the moment is play safe, kick long down the line. Now every team wants you to kick long down the line. That is gold for every single team. You don't have to be a great team to be able to defend that. So it takes a lot of hard work, like energy-wise, to then open up the game. So what happens, and the Crows are going through this a little bit, they're trying to possess the footy and move it a bit quicker. They're halfway there. You've got to have the centre of the ground as a place where it's a no standing zone. So you can't go dawdle through there and you can't stand still there. So when you try to kick and possess the footy, it actually takes more work rate. You're flashing out, don't get out of the way. Make the ground big, as they say. So once you make the ground big, you ask the opposition, you can't have both. You just physically can't have both. You can, if you block the middle, we'll move it quickly around you and we'll get inside 50 that way. If you come with us on the outside, because everyone's worked hard, that one on the 45 pops up. So they're not working hard enough to free up players, and we highlight they're not working hard enough forward of the ball, but that's through the middle of the ground as well. And they've got to be willing to cough one up where we might go in the commentary box, oh, no, Cornelio shanked it, or James Leake shanked it, or Laverty shanked it. But you actually become predictable, and if the decision's right and it's a skill execution, as a coaching group, you've got to go, that's okay, we've got to live with that.
I just wonder, I know it's very simplistic to say, but, I mean, we do analyse everything within an inch of its life. There's just too many injuries. At the end of the day, like, how many is too many, Lloydie? How many of your best players can you lose when you just can't compete at the very, very top level?
Yeah, and on what Jimmy was talking about, I think it's the hardest thing to get right in the game, that final kick inside forward 50. And when you look down there, and Hannaford and also Gothard and Delina, like if you've got 3 of your 7 forwards out there who you haven't played together, like that takes time as well. Sorry, your question was
the injuries. The tipping point of just too many.
So like if Cadman and Hogan would know each other back to front, and then Kelly in the midfield would be brilliant just to have someone extra to break the lines, and Daniels and Jones at the feet, guys who have played, Daniels is over 100 games and Jones might have played, 20 or 30, but just that, just believes he belongs at AFL level. So, I think that you can put a fair bit onto the fact that you lose your best 7 or 8 and you are up against it.
And it's across all positions as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Buckley and Sam Taylor
the
down
two
back.
best key defenders. Yeah.
Exactly. Bedford you can throw anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's take a call or two before we close it off, at least until Footy Nightline after the 11 o'clock news.
Award-winning Footy Nightline.
With Matty Granlund, thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals celebrating lives. 133 693. Nick Theodosi, open line. Jerry, good evening to you.
G'day, boys. I'll be quick. Listen, what do you think the problem is with Hogan? He's gone from one extreme to the other. It reminded me of the days when he was playing with Fremantle. He couldn't get a kick in an electric chair. But he went over to the Giants and became a champion and won Coleman medals and everything. Is it psychological or physical or both? Or what do you reckon is going on there?
I reckon there might be a little bit, Gary. Like physically, I don't think he's moving that well, which psychologically impacts his game because he doesn't believe maybe his body can get him to as many contests, and so he's just having to stand there and hope the ball comes in well. But if it comes in long and high, if he does beat his direct opponent, there's normally a third man coming in.
Gary, thanks for your call because he's their most important player just about, and normally he takes those contested marks, so he's not moving as well. Like he's not leading up at it, which we touched on, but he's also not taking the contested marks. So I only had 3 or 4 tonight that. Oh, Jerry, sorry, not Gary. Jerry, where he should have beaten his man hands down. He was in a perfect position, and he was either outmarked himself or he just didn't take the mark. So that's something he's normally really good at, but I can see he is really, really low on confidence.
Jerry, thanks for your call. It'll be a big watch after the bye as to how Jesse Hogan does hit back. The Giants' next encounter, gather round down in the Barossa on the Sunday afternoon against the young Tigers. So it'll be a good opportunity, a nice big spacious ground as well to get some confidence back. Nothing against Richmond, but they are putting out
7 straight, didn't he? Ben King.
He did.
Against them last week.
Yep. So that is the Giants' next encounter, followed by the Swans at the SCG on a Friday night. Let's quickly look ahead to the rest of round 3 on 3AW Footy. The doubleheader tomorrow, both games here at Marvel. The early game, St Kilda and Brisbane, which we spoke about a little earlier, and the night game, Essendon and North Melbourne, we also touched on there, our 2 matches for broadcast. And then Sunday, really interesting clash at the MCG, Carlton and Melbourne. They'll bounce the football. They'll throw the football up at 3:15. We've got that much time to talk about it. The music's coming up behind us, so that means we can't. But that's what is in store on 3RW 6PR Footy for the rest of the weekend. Gentlemen and Jack, great job tonight.
Bruce.
Collingwood improved to 2-1. Give Matty Granlund a call, and Heath Jaw, his special guest after the 11 o'clock news on Footy Nightline. For Macca's 3AW is football.
3AW is football.
Rebel squadron attack. Pew, pew, pew. You'll never win.
John! Are you playing with the kids' Star Wars Kinder Surprise? Without them?
But I am their father.
Well, as their father, you can explain that you've opened their favourite treat.
With Kinder Surprise, you and your kids can play, explore, discover and grow together, one intergalactic adventure at a time. Pick up a Star Wars Kinder Surprise today, also available in Easter egg size.
Competitions. We've been making winners across the nation every week for years, giving away over £125 million worth of prizes, from cars and cash to bikes and bling. Competitions start from just 9p per ticket. Plus, right now, you can get a massive 50% discount when you deposit £20 or more. Just enter the word bonus at the checkout at nitruscompetitions.com to take advantage of this amazing offer. Nitrus Competitions. You've got to be in it to win it. Over 18s only. Winners selected at random. T's and C's apply.
Through 6PR in Perth, 5AA in Adelaide, and nationwide via the 3AW app. Welcome to Footy Night Line, brought to you by Tobin Brothers Funerals. Here's your host, Matt Granlund.
Thank you, Craig Willis. Yes, indeed. Welcome to Footy Nightline, all courtesy of Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives. We are taking your calls for Nick Theodosi, 133 693. We do welcome in our listeners through 6PR in Perth and 5AA in Adelaide after Collingwood defeated the GWS Giants by 33 points. Final scores 13-9-87, GWS 7-12-54. So a 33-point win to the Magpies. We're taking your calls. Later on tonight, we're going to hear from our special Friday night chat, and it's Heath Shaw, the man I'm talking to. Looking forward to having a chat to Heath. Of course, played for both the Magpies and GWS, a premiership player at Collingwood. And he was a very, very good footballer from a famous footballing family. So Heath Shaw will be joining me. We'll hear from the two coaches as well. Craig McRae in just a moment, the Collingwood coach, has just sat down to have a chat to the media. And Adam Kingsley, we'll hear more of that. We heard a little bit of it before the 11 o'clock news, but we'll hear more of Adam Kingsley coming up as well. But your calls for Nick Theodosi, 133 693. Nick Theodosi, Prestige Cars, 55 years in business. Everyone should own a Prestige car once in a lifetime. All right, let's have a listen to Craig McRae. The Magpies winning their first game against St Kilda. They lost against the Crows. They had the week off. And then an emphatic win against the Giants tonight by 33 points. You'd be reasonably happy, you would think. Let's have a listen to Craig McRae, the Magpies coach.
2 forward entries, 2 goals. Must have been a very nice way to start the night, Craig.
Yeah. It's when you're playing the state teams and you start well, it helps. Teams want to come here and silence the crowd. And, we want to do the same when we travel next week to Brisbane. But it was nice to see Oscar Steen get an opportunity and then show the footy world that he can jump and influence the play. So that was a nice result.
When those rules were, I suppose, the rules changed, did it really light up in your mind that this could be the chance for him this season, or did you see it coming anyway?
Oh, look, honestly, list management make decisions around, we've got to find out about Oscar and, make decisions that move Mason Cox on. So, I had conversation with Oscar really early days. Hey, let's go, mate. We've opened a door for you, and that was early in pre-season, so pushing and prodding and encouraging, and then you get to watch the early rounds, and we played Adelaide, and they pick a guy that can jump at centre bounce, and it makes a difference. Now, how much? It's hit out to one thing, clearances are another. But we've got a guy that can jump at centre bounce and get the first handers on the ball, and it changes dynamic for the midfield. Nick can get on the roll and Geordie get on the roll, and they're really good players in that phase.
Fly, spoke after Adelaide about your issues for the ball. How do you use the last fortnight to fix that?
Yeah, a lot of behind the goals vision shows little things that you just can fix really quickly. Like, the game's fast now. You get the ball at a stoppage. 3 seconds. Here we go. You're the ruck. Let's go. So 3 seconds is not much time to set up forward of the ball or behind. So we had to get better at that. And then, I just didn't like the way that we set up for one, and then and we had to deal with the spare at times, and then other parts of that game we just didn't connect. So we did a lot of patterning and working together, and we're not there. Like you saw tonight, there's improvement. There was. We left goals out there, so did they. But there was improvement, and just some method stuff we'll keep getting better at. Like that's part of the game. If you can connect, it makes a big difference.
Craig, what was the message you got from the medical team when Moore came off it just before quarter time, and he played out the game? Seemed like a hamstring injury, but what was it? Yeah, well, it's hamstring awareness, and for those following his rehab back to play. He had this about 10, 12 days ago, the same thing, and we just, no risk. But we're in the game, and you go, can he push through? Can he take some minutes? Because, it's important that, in terms of rotations, things, that if he can take some minutes without risk. Now, I say that, I'm just back in the high-performance team. That's not my area, and so we did that. But he's not right. He's not 100%, and so has he done a hamstring? I'm not sure. I don't think so. That's what I've been told, but we'll obviously do all the investigation and find out. But I'd say he's unlikely 6 days. We travel to Brisbane. I'd say he's unlikely next week, but we'll see.
From the defensive side of things, the game of Billy Crampton tonight, really isolated. Frampton. Were able to, and I think it was the way that he went about it, those intercepts. That was probably the pivotal moment in the game. Then you could defensively transition the ball. Yeah, it
was a big part of the game, and geez, they're a dangerous team, the Giants, when they get that tsunami handball going, and we try to be aware of it, but we forced them to contest a bit more in the second half, which we wanted to do, and then Billy, I just rewarded it internally, because that last 1 minute, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it was, Hogan had 2 contests one-on-one, and kicks that goal, no one will care, because it'll be 27, 26 points, whatever, versus whatever it was. But we care. That matters to us. You don't know where that matters. That matters later on in the year. Who knows? You don't know where that matters. And he won both those contests, and that's the sort of stuff that we want to have through our whole group. We fight right to the last second, so that was really pleasing.
And on the flip side of that, from a forward-line perspective, the pressure not to be able to let the ball out, because there were a number of times you just disarmed the Giants and not allowing them to move the ball. Yeah, when they turned it over. Yeah,
it's a great observation, because that's what we wanted to try to do, is strangle their ability to move the ball, because they're so good at it. They're elite at that. And I thought our forwards and Lockie Schultz and Tim Membry had a great game tonight. He's pressure, but he kicked 4 goals, and he's been working hard behind the scenes. And just the whole collective of Dan McStay took a step forward. We're all wanting that, and I was really pleased and really proud of him taking steps forward. And a shout out to our 41,000 members that rocked up tonight. I'm sure there was a couple of Giants fans amongst them, but I hope the $3 pies were nice. Yeah, thanks for turning up.
Darcy Moore's unlikely on a 6-day break. What does it mean for Scott Pendlebury?
Well, actually, Pendles and I chatted this week, and we chatted pre-season. He was unlikely to go this game, and so we'll probably stick to that plan. 6-day travel into Brisbane and then back to Melbourne to gather around. That was always our plan, not to go to this game, so it probably falls in line with that.
So with Pendles not being likely for this game, but then the way you guys sort of worked out with Moore tonight, it's a bit risky from the team.
We like to be risk takers. You've got to be. Let's go. I won't throw out the stumps, but to within reason, it's round 3. I'd be surprised if our medical team and high performance team would put him out there with big risk. They just look. It is what it is. He got through the game. Now we'll find out the aftermath of that, and we'll have to work through that. But no, we've got to be risk takers. That's I'm a risk taker, and I want our players to be too. So we can, we won't always get it right. That's part of risk taking. You're not always going to get it right. But if you don't have a throw at the stumps, you never run anyone out. So we're prepared to be that team. Yeah.
What is the issue with Pendlebury? Was it Achilles?
Achilles, yeah, we got told it's tight Achilles, so that's where it's at the moment.
And could that be a prolonged period of time, or do you think it's just
I don't know. I don't know. The paint's still wet. We'll have to find all this out, and you guys will be the first to know when we know. Yeah.
Well, I should say, not just Nick, the Dacos family, like a lot of attention this week about going to Tassie and all that. But for them to just come out tonight, I think they were both leading disposals for Collingwood.
Yeah.
They just do it with ease, it seems.
Well, this is the reality of our world, and with no disrespect, within our four walls, it's a lot different to the outside world. It really is. Now, we respect that. You guys create stories and you get to write on it, and it's your world. But our world is a little bit different. We're process-driven. We're high performance. We're trying to get better every day, and we can't control the narrative around us. We respect that's part of the job. There's heroes and villains and wins and losses, but that's just what we live in. But when you come into our walls, we're just getting better. And Nick's the best trainer in our club, and Josh is not far behind him, and they get to work, and they're brilliant again. They work so hard at their game, and they get what they get. They deserve what they get.
All right. We might leave Craig McRae there, talking to the media, talking about the Dacos brothers, and also Scott Pendlebury, who actually said post-game that it was an ankle, but Craig McRae confirming there, in fact, it is an Achilles. So tight Achilles, doubt whether or not he'll play on next Thursday against Brisbane, so he will probably be an out for that. And as far as Darcy Moore is concerned, being reported a neural hamstring injury. So what is a neural hamstring injury? Often termed adverse neural tension, occurs when the sciatic nerve is irritated, compressed or restricted, causing symptoms similar to a muscle strain. Key indicators include tingling, numbness or tightness behind the knee that doesn't improve with stretching. Proper assessment and neural glides are essential for recovery. So that would explain the fact that he had struggled actually kicking the ball. And there was a little bit of footage on the Harvey Norman replay of him trying to kick the ball in the rooms when he went down for assessment, and he had a few issues kicking the ball and really following through on his kick. So a neural hamstring injury, we're told, for Darcy Moore, so he will be a watch ahead of next week and that big game against Brisbane as well. 133 693 is the phone number. It is Footy Nightline, all with thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives. The Magpies 13,987, GWS 712.54. Another big night. We're just talking about the Dacos brothers. Another big night for Nick. Finished with 36 touches and 2 goals too. So you would think he'll collect the 3 Brownlow votes. Nick Dacos had a big game against the Adelaide Crows in the loss as well. So whether he gets the 3 there, who knows? But he may very well get the 2. And then he was best on ground against the Saints in the opening round. So he has had a huge start to the season. His brother Josh finishing the night with 33 disposals, so a big night for Josh Dacos as well. Taking your calls, 133 693 for Nick Theodosi. Keep the calls coming. We'll take a few calls after the break, and we'll hear from Adam Kingsley, the GWS coach as well. This is Footy Nightline, all with thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals.
At AJ Bell, we believe investing is for everyone. And when we say everyone, we mean your dad, Dan, Danielle, Dean, Dave, Dale, Dale's delivery driver Denise, Denise's dentist Dinesh, and Devon's strongest man, Donathan. Donathan? That can't be right. Donathan? Well, whatever your name is. If you're a real person, investing is for you too. AJ Bell, feel good investing. The value of your investments can go up or down.
Across Australia, you're listening to Footy Nightline. Dial 133 693 to take part in the conversation.
Great to have your company. Footy Nightline after the Magpies got the job done by 33 points, 13,987, GWS 712.54. Taking your calls for Nick Theodosi, 133 693. We'll hear from Adam Kingsley in just a moment, the Giants coach. But great to have you listening wherever you may be listening through 6PR in Perth, 5AA in Adelaide, or on the 3AW website, 3aw.com.au. For Nick Theodosi, 133 693. Sticks has given us a buzz. Hi, Sticks.
G'day, guys. How you going? Just made it home, actually, after going to the game. Just a couple of things. Just reckon Frampton and McCreary are two players that's very underrated. Probably last few years, really. Frampton often has to play without Darcy being there. Obviously, they're tonight, which helped out, but who knows who's going to be there against Brisbane on Thursday night. And just a second thing, I just thought maybe for the first 2 weeks, McRae came to Collingwood and said we're going to be an exciting team to watch. And I just felt for the first 2 weeks, we probably weren't really that exciting. But tonight, I actually reckon we got a bit of that back, and we were going through the middle a lot. And the player I mentioned before with McCreary, I thought he was a real instigator in providing that sort of excitement with a bit of Schultz probably forward as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good call, Sticks. I mean, Bo McCreary, doesn't he bring energy? And they call him the bull. He's got power. He's quick. And you're right about Frampton as well. It allows Darcy Moore to take those signature intercept marks. So he's become a very important player back there. But yeah, Bo McCreary, well, not underrated by Collingwood fans, but he's not the biggest name, but he is a very, very important player for the Magpies. They did play a bit of exciting footy tonight. There was some period. It wasn't the best game, it's got to be said. You would have loved it from a Pies point of view, Sticks, but especially in that second quarter, it was a bit pedestrian. So it wasn't the best of spectacles, but yeah, when they got the ball moving, it was pretty impressive to watch. Now, the GWS Giants, they've got a few issues. So they win their first game against Hawthorn at home. And then they get belted by the Western Bulldogs here at Marvel Stadium, absolutely belted. They were beaten by St Kilda last week at home. They came home with a bit of a wet sail last week, couldn't get the job done. And then they're beaten comfortably by the Magpies to the tune of 33 points tonight. You have a look, and we said this a little earlier, you just have a look at their injury list. I mean, it's just ridiculous the amount of players they have missing. Aaron Cadman, Brent Daniels, Darcy Jones, Jack Buckley, Jake Kelly, Sam Taylor. So you look at Jack Buckley and Sam Taylor, two of the best defenders in the competition. Toby Bedford, and of course Tom Green, one of the best midfielders in the competition. Just so many players missing, so it makes it very, very difficult. We'll hear from Adam Kingsley in just a moment. Another quick call. Peter wants to have a chat about the Magpies. Hi, Pete.
Matty, how you going? Matty, would you think that Collingwood got a big problem being in a controlled environment like Telstra Dome or Marvel Stadium, whatever you want to call it? They still can't kick 100 points with the depleted backwood line of GWS. They had all their backmen missing, and the Pies still could not kick 100 points. And do you think they're lacking a tall forward like the gun teams of Bulldogs, Gold Coast have, and St Kilda have if one of the King brothers, I can't remember which one it is, comes back? I think they're putting all their eggs in their basket with these old players, and I think they've got to be exposed, showing that they can't kick 100 points more in a controlled environment with no wind, no rain, no nothing. What do you reckon?
That's a good point, Pete. I mean, it's always been a bit of an issue for them, hasn't it, that forward line? So they don't, McStay, I don't think, gets the job done enough. And then you've got Membry, who's more of a sort of medium forward. He's not really a key forward. He's reliable when he gets his shots at goal. And then you rely on your smalls and your midfielders to kick goals. So, look, it's an issue, and no doubt it is an issue. And that's why they'll be chasing Ben King from the Gold Coast Suns very hard, the Magpies. And from what we're told, they've got a fair bit of money too to throw around, whether or not they can lure him across. But yeah, it's a problem, and it's been a problem for a while. But getting those key forwards, they don't grow on trees, Peter. But you're right. An undermanned, really weakened GWS defence, and they couldn't kick 100 points tonight. They finished with 13-9-87 to 7-12-54. Thank you for your call. We're going to take a break because Heath Shaw is going to join me on the other side of this. He's our Friday night chat, played for both the Magpies and GWS. Really looking forward to having a chat to Heath. He'll join me next on Footy Nightline.
Across Australia, you're listening to Footy Nightline. Dial 133 693 to take part in the conversation.
Welcome back to Footy Nightline. Time for our Friday night chats. And tonight, a man who played for both the teams that we saw tonight, both Collingwood and GWS, from a famous football family. His name is Heath Shaw, and he joins us. Hello, Heath.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Hey, I'm just interested with the footy now. You've been out of it for a while now. Are you a lover of footy? Do you consume a lot of it, or are you just an occasional watcher?
I'd say I'm very much a casual watcher. If there's nothing else on the weekend or on a Sunday arvo, it's definitely on in the background while I'm just lounging around on the couch. But yeah, still go to a few games here and there, but don't pay like a hell of a lot of attention to detail in terms of how the game's tracking and what the style of football is, because it's changed a lot since I played.
It's funny you say that, because you talk to a lot of younger players that play today, and a lot of them, play the game because they're very good at it, but they don't absolutely love it, and they have a lot of other interests. So when you played, were you in that boat?
Oh, no, definitely not. I love footy. I was sort of obsessed with footy like throughout when I was like a kid, and then going into AFL. And the thing with it was when I played, like main training session, I said to one of my coaches, Leon Cameron, towards the end of my career, I said, mate, the only thing I like about football is training and playing. Anything in between that, meetings, weights, all the other stuff, not really my cup of tea. The only thing I like doing is playing and training. So, I loved when I was playing. And the thing with footy is if you have an average game, you have to wait sort of 6 or 7 days for the next one, and you sort of want to get out there straight away. But I think players these days are a little bit different to what we are, and I don't really understand. If you don't love the game that much, then don't play it. It's pretty simple.
Hey, Heath, I don't think I've interviewed someone who has been the son of a legend, but probably get asked this a lot, but the name Shaw, and everyone probably asks you whether or not it's a burden. So I might flip it and say, do you think it helped at some stage in your junior career? Like, I know I've got a couple of young fellas that are trying to make a rep team now. There's like 100 of them, and they cull them down into 40. By having the name Shaw, do you think maybe in those really early years you might have got a second look from a few selectors? I'd
say it had something to do with it a little bit, and it probably had a little bit to do with the fact that I was actually a really good junior player. So probably a combination of both. But I think the fact that my last name's Shaw, and I had uncles and older brother and dad that were good footballers, it sort of was going to run in the family a little bit. And not that I had any choice. Not that I didn't have any choice whether to play footy or not, but it definitely set me on the path to getting towards playing AFL as a junior, and then eventually playing it at the club that we sort of grew up around.
Did you see much of Dad play?
I saw Dad play local footy, which was a bit different compared to he was getting on in age. He was probably around my age now. He's 40. I think he was playing at Hurstbridge, and he won his last best and fairest when he was 40 years old. So I thought that was a pretty good effort. But he always wore a long sleeve jumper. I knew that. Socks up. So he looked like the old traditional football, which no one looks like these days. So it was good to sort of watch bits and pieces, but I wouldn't say I paid too much attention to him while he was playing.
So drafted in 2003, my recollection, when you started playing senior football, Heath, you hit the ground running straight away. Like, you were pretty good from the start. Have I got that right?
It took me a while to get in. It took me a couple of years to actually get a game. But yeah, once I got in, I pride myself on the fact that I never actually got dropped from AFL football. I got suspended a few times, which I couldn't play, but never actually got dropped. And sort of once you hit that level, you don't really want to go back, and you do everything in your power to stay in that team. And I just tapped onto a lot of senior players that were in my position or had played that position, and learned from them, and tried my hardest to stay in that team as much as I could.
That position that you talk about, and even today's football is so valuable. So running, attacking defender that can use the ball well, every club is looking for that. When did you sort of think, okay, that is the role that I'm really good at? Was it as a kid, getting into the draft, or did you, once you were at Collingwood, did they earmark you as that type of player?
As a junior, I was more sort of playing in the midfield and a little bit up forward. 1 year I played half-back flank with one of my junior coaches, but got drafted as sort of that midfield half-forward. And I think, as I said, it took me a couple of years to get a game, and I was playing that mid half-forward role and couldn't break in and wasn't playing that great. And the wise man that Mick Moldhouse is, he said, you know what, I'm going to throw you down half-back and I want to sort of teach you how to defend. And not that I defended that often. I pretty much defended with the ball in my hand. So it turned out okay. And as I grew into that position, I sort of was able to figure out different ways in which I could master that craft across half-back. And I had James Clement next to me and Ben Johnson and obviously my brother and all these guys that I sort of modelled my game around in terms of offensively and defensively as well.
You talked about Nathan. I was going to say Nathan Buckley. We'll talk about him in a moment. You talked about Mick Moldhouse. So give us a bit of a rundown on your relationship with Mick.
Oh mate, he's like a second father to a lot of the guys that I played with throughout the era that I was at Collingwood. He was coach, and we say, look, obviously the Rat Pack, and then there's an extended Rat Pack, and we catch up with Mick. We try to catch up with Mick at least once a year outside of our premiership reunion and go through all the good times. And there's no doubt that me, along with those guys, gave most of his grey hair, but he secretly loved the fact that we could go about our business the way we did. And he knew that on the weekends that we perform and when we're training, we train the hardest. So the relationship with Mick is timeless. And yeah, he had my 40th last year and he rocked up, and it was just so good to see him and so good to have someone that was hard when he needed to be hard and fair when he needed to be fair. But then on the rare occasion, he might pump you up a little bit as well.
And your relationship with Bucks, what was that like?
It wasn't really. It was a coach and a player, pretty much. There wasn't much of a sort of a relationship there, and that is what it is. You can't be friends with everyone, and I was blessed with the fact that I had Mick Moldhouse, who was someone who guided me through my early part of my career and shaped me as the player that I was. And when he left, it was hard to replace someone like that. So Bucks was sort of that next phase, and then that didn't really work out. So I ended up at the Giants, which I could probably say thanks to him for trading me, because I played some of my best footy up there and enjoyed my time up there. And now I'm linked to two clubs that have had reasonable success, and I get to enjoy going and watching both play.
Fantastic. We'll talk about the Giants in a moment. You mentioned the Rat Pack before, which a lot of Collingwood fans would remember. So who do you consider to be in the Rat Pack?
There's a big group, but obviously there's over the journey. It started early days before I even got to Collingwood, but there's a photo that myself, Swanee, Dids and Jono have after the 210 grand final. We're sort of arm in arm, and we've got our premiership medals around our neck. And like I was saying before about Mick and how we used to sort of torment him, but he knew that we would be on the front line when something needed to happen, or when someone needed to make a big play or someone needed to stand up. It was usually one of us who would just put the foot down and go, no, we're doing this. So I'd say those four would be classified as the Rat Pack, but then there's an extended crew. Chris Tarrant, my brother, Shad Wellingham got him in trouble, a little bit of trouble as well. Daisy's float him in there, Ben Kinnear, Dimatina, all these guys. Like there's a wide range of guys.
Big pack.
And, it is, and I think that's what people love about sort of the Rat Pack. It's like it's a group of guys that are just regular guys who like hanging out with each other who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time consistently. But we're still human, and as I said, we rock up every week and we try our hardest, and we put our best foot forward for the club.
Hey, Heath, the premiership at Collingwood, and we'll talk about the replayed game in a moment, but the drawn game, and I interviewed Nick Maxwell last year and asked him about this. What was your thoughts after that game in terms of the following week? Were you confident that you'd get the job done the following week, as the dust started to settle and, okay, we've got to draw, we've got to go back, we've got to go back to training and prepare again? What was your feeling towards the next week?
No, mate, I'm obviously a betting man, and I couldn't have been more confident that we were going to win the next week. I just see it as we came as close as humanly possible to losing a grand final, and St Kilda came as close as humanly possible to winning one. And I'd say there was 15, 16 guys that didn't play up to the level that they had throughout that year. Not that they played bad, but didn't play up to sort of the level that we expected that year. And I knew that next week come around, that's sort of a little bit less nervous because you've already gone through that sort of your first grand final experience and week. The confidence levels couldn't have been any higher. And as you saw in the replay, we played like that. And there's sort of the flip side. There was probably only a few guys that didn't really play that well that second week, but you can understand that when it was pretty much over at half time.
Yeah, it was. And then, the replay, the chase down tackle of Nick Riewoldt. Now, that is going to be one of the lasting images in football for a long time. It replayed long after I'm gone and you're gone, probably, Heath. When you did it, did you think to yourself, gee, that in the moment, do you think that was big? Like, was it a big moment in your mind, or were you just so in the zone you didn't even think about what had just taken place?
Oh, yeah. You understand it was it's an important moment because as a defender, obviously that's what you want to do. You obviously you're a defender. You stop the goals, and I actually did that. Yeah. But I didn't really think of it as like, yep, no, that's the thing that's going to be in the memory for years to come. And for me, it was doing my job. And then afterwards, when I look back at it, it was like, yeah, that was a fairly important moment, and hopefully that was part of something that spurred our team on. They hadn't kicked a goal previous to that. They hadn't kicked a goal previous to that. That was their captain, and I say to people, when you look at the replay of that from a certain angle, you can see they're sort of the St Kilda cheer squad, and their arms are sort of in the air, just about to celebrate as Nick's going to kick that goal. And as soon as I smother it, the hands go on my head, and it's just like they've gone from joy to devastation in the space of about 2 seconds. So right there, I think some St Kilda players' heads went down, and it's the opposite effect to the Collingwood players.
Gee, it was big. We're going to take a break. We'll come back more Heath Shaw in a moment on Footy Nightline.
Across Australia, you're listening to Footy Nightline. Dial 133 693 to take part in the conversation.
Heath Shaw with me on Footy Nightline. Welcome back, Heath. We talked about the Magpies. There's so much of your career. We don't have enough time to get through it all, but let's move on to GWS. And you moved there, obviously. Nathan Buckley, as you said, we're probably keen to move you on in the end. When you heard the name GWS, what about the Giants? What did you think when you first heard the idea of maybe moving there?
It's an interesting one because obviously Gubby Allen was at the club, at the Giants, and he's a family friend of mine growing up, and spent a lot of time at Collingwood. So obviously when Gubby makes the call and shows a bit of interest, you definitely take note of what it is, and understood the situation of where the Giants were at and where they were positioned and what that looked like. They were 2 years in, and I think they'd won one game previous, and for a guy like me who's fairly competitive beast, going to a team where you know you're not going to win every single week was going to be hard. But Gubby definitely had the confidence that if I did come up and I stayed the course, then after a few years we would have some good success, and we would have a team that can challenge. And he was right. He said what he said, premiership after 5 years, and we end up playing off in the grand final after 5 or 6. So he wasn't far off, but initially definitely hesitant about moving interstate, but had my brother up there in Sydney, which definitely made life easier.
As you said, I mean, they were the easy beats for a long time, GWS, but when you got up there, did you realise, gee, there's some bloody talent on this list, like we're not far away here? Did you think that once you saw them play and train and you got to sort of know them closely?
Honestly, first pre-season, I definitely, because I'd had some hip surgery, and I sort of more sat back and watched sort of the first sort of month, 6 weeks of pre-season, just watched how they went about it, and even looking at that, I was like, these guys train hard and they want to win, and they're having a fair crack. Obviously, they hadn't learned what it takes to be AFL footballers. They hadn't learned sort of the ins and outs of how to sort of certain bits and pieces and how to get to that point of being a consistent AFL footballer. But first year we had 6 wins when I was there. Next year, just missed the finals, had 11 wins, and that confidence was obviously building. And I don't know, it's like it's an interesting one. Like, it's like not confidence, borderline arrogance. It's like we had the sort of theory that we didn't fear anyone. In a way, you had nothing to lose apart from a game of football, but you had nothing to lose. So let's just go out there and have a crack, and that's what we did. And year 3 that I was there, we won 17 games and lost the prelim to the Bulldogs, who went on and won the grand final. So I knew it was coming, but I didn't realise, didn't expect it to come that quick.
That 2016, I mean, you went on and played in the grand final, but 2016, was that the missed opportunity? I was there that particular night, and it was unbelievable for the Bulldogs, and then they went on to win the historical grand final. But was that? Do you think about that as a missed opportunity, 2016?
Oh, it was definitely a missed opportunity. But for me, I've always said, like, no one deserves the premiership. You got to earn it, and we didn't earn it that year. We did a lot right for a lot of that year, to be honest, and to fall that short the way we did. As people have said, one of the best games, one of the best prelims, and one of the best finals games of all time. I wish we were on the other end of the other end of that result, but these things happen, and it was a missed opportunity for us. But we didn't play the full 120 minutes. We played maybe 110, and that last 10 sort of cost us. So I can't dwell on the fact that we didn't win it then. We had an opportunity in 2019, which again, in the lead up to that, the 4 weeks previous to the grand final that we played against Richmond was probably the best 4 weeks of footy I've been involved in. We travelled, we won, and we got to a grand final, and I don't know if we'd spent all our tickets before we got there, but at least we can say the fact that we did everything we could to get there, and just didn't work out on the day to a team that was pretty good as well.
Now, I asked this question to all of our guests. Not many careers end on your terms. Did it end on your terms? Were you the one that went to them and said, I'm done, or did you get the tap on the shoulder?
No, I definitely got the tap on the shoulder. It was 2020. It was COVID year. As I said, we come off the grand final in 2019, lost that, and then we missed the finals the next year, the COVID year, which no one really enjoyed, I don't think, except for I think Richmond won it, so they would have been pretty happy. But I just wanted to go. I knew I could go around again. I knew I could play another season footy. Did I need to? Definitely not. Was I satisfied with my career to there? Definitely I was, but I didn't really want to end my career the COVID year, and I wanted to get us back into the finals that following year, but obviously the club going from premiership to grand final to missing finals, we're going in another direction and playing some guys that probably were on the edge a little bit. So definitely no hard feelings, but didn't retire. Got delisted, but I wouldn't say I would have gone and played anywhere else, to be honest. So it makes it sort of hard, and just decided to go back and play local football instead.
Yes, well, we're going to wrap it up, but an incredible career, Heath. You have a look at it here, 325 AFL matches, and as we talked about that smother, I mean, that image will live on forever and ever, and, when people think of you years and years down the track, they'll probably remember that image, and what an image to remember. I mean, there's players that don't have that, they have nothing, they might play 300 games or 200 games and they're not remembered for very, very much, but to be remembered for that image, you must really be stoked that is what, most people would come up and talk to you about.
Yeah, it is. It's a moment that obviously looking back, I'd obviously cherish now that the career's over. And you're right, like people mention that more than anything to me when they talk to me about footy or talk to me about my career. And it's funny, like playing for Collingwood, obviously naturally Essendon and Carlton and Richmond supporters hate you, but I've just added St Kilda supporters to that group because of that grand final, because of that moment. So more than happy with that because we ended up winning it. So it is something that I'm proud of, and it'll definitely live on.
It will. Good on you, Heath. Thank you very much for having a chat, mate.
No worries at all.
Heath Shaw joining us on Footy Nightline. We'll take a break. We'll wrap it all up next.
Across Australia, you're listening to Footy Nightline. Dial 133 693 to take part in the conversation.
Welcome back to Footy Nightline as we wrap the night up here from Marvel Stadium. Big thank you to Heath Shaw joining me there. Great chat with a man who played a lot of footy, and that moment will live on forever, that smother in the grand final. Heath Shaw, great to have a chat with him. All right, we're wrapping things up. Don't forget, tomorrow the footy continues. A double header, St Kilda versus Brisbane. And then later in the day, Essendon versus North Melbourne, both games coming from Marvel Stadium. But here, it was a big win to Collingwood, winners over the GWS Giants. Final scores 13-9-87, GWS 7-12-54, as I bid you farewell from Marvel Stadium.
Hiya, I'm Eleanor, just your average walking, talking, dancing, singing puppet. A puppet that loves an LNER train journey. It beats the CAR every time. I'm free to do all the things I love. Get lost in a true crime series, type away like an office ninja, order yummy food and drinks to my seat, or just have a cheeky power nap. And now, with more services and faster journey times, there's more freedom all the way with LNER. Selected routes only. Visit lner.co.uk/timetable for details.